Grandiloquent greetings to you, our wonderful fans of the walk. Imagine, if you will, being held in our firm yet gentle embrace as we envelop you in our tender beneficence.
Alright.
My name's Daisy Elm, this is my brother Derek Elm.
Alright.
In normal days and normal ways, we will be sharp talking, swift walking tour guides for our beloved Deptford.
But due to the Black Death Part 2, we're not allowed to do our normal jobs.
No, so instead we'd like to offer you a walkabout of our ancient ancestral home, one bedroom flat in Evening Street.
Stuff full of history, eroticism and eco-friendly toilet cleaner.
Yeah, well, where is this? I'm stockpiling. It is a disease, kind of disease.
Yeah. In episode 2, we're going to examine the reasons why I have been touched in the middle of the night by an unknown presence.
We're also going to examine ghosts.
Yes.
So, change your underpant garments, turn the lights down very, very low, and prepare to be very, very scared.
Some would say, most haunted.
No, Derek, I can't say that. I can't say most haunted.
Why not?
Because there's a programme already called that, and it's run by this really, really hard woman called Yvette Fielding. She'll kill us. Just
Yeah, fine.
Not most haunted.
No. Fair enough. Roll VT. It's just us, isn't it? We can't. There's no one to do that, is there?
I didn't know what that meant.
No. You just have to stay. We'll have to stay and wait till the tape runs out.
How long's that?
45 minutes.
I'll go to the toilet. Derek.
This smile.
Okay.
Uh, 44 minutes.
Cheers! Someone very wise once said, "When I was a child, I was very afraid of ghosts, but when I grew up, I realised that human adults are much scarier." That very wise person was my Auntie Jean, who sadly shortly afterwards died herself. But then she visited me in a dream and she said, "You know what I said about ghosts, Daisy? That was a load of old bollocks. They are really, really scary, and one day you will find out." That's how I knew she was dead, because she sort of did like a ghost accent. Anyway, I shortly did find out, because soon after that, I bought this cocktail cabinet from Deptford Flea Market, and it turned out that this too, can you believe it, was a portal to the other side. And basically, it's like a pub for ghosts, banshees, witches, poltergeists, and we've had all sorts here. We had a white lady, we had a grey lady, we had a succubus, we had a man carrying a head under his arm. Oh, we had a head carrying a man in its mouth. We had demons, we had bogles, we had like ectomist. That was really wet and sticky. We've had more orbs than a Glastonbury Dreamcatcher shop. We've had all sorts. Anyway, they were crowded in here around the bar, shouting out, "We want this cocktail, we want this single malt." Me and Derek just ignored them to start with. But then when we did, they started trashing the house and they're throwing the stuff around with their invisible limbs and then like squirting ectoplasm up the walls and that. So we realised that we had to serve them. We got quite into it, yeah. We were like making funny cocktails with spooky names and having a laugh. Had a bit of a sing-song, bit of a knees up with the ghosts and that. So it was all right. There were long shifts though. And actually it was quite expensive because they're ghosts, they can't carry cash and they haven't got contactless. So there's nothing they can do about that. So instead we set up an exchange sort of system. So they would either haunt our enemies or smite our foes. But that, to be honest, we haven't got many enemies or foes like that. That didn't work. So after a while we were just like, do you know what? They're dead. It's not very nice for them anyway. We just give them free drinks. We carried on doing that sort of thing. So it's quite nice for a while. They'd come in here and then they'd like go off and do their hauntings or their demonic possession in the other bits of London, wherever they had to go. So yeah, it was really nice. Oh, and once we had the ghost of Charles Dickens in here. Yeah, he was nice. But you know what, right? Because Charles Dickens is a writer from the olden days. But it turns out he told us that he actually took all of his stories from his ex-landlady, Mavis Button, and she'd written all the stories and she'd handwritten them in this little notebook, and she sold it to him, all the stories, once when she'd lost a fortune playing poker down the bear pit, and he published them in his own name, and she died of poverty, so she was really, really, really cross, really angry. So she haunts him, and she in turn is haunted by this bloke called Meat Hook, who died when he ate one of her off-gone pickled eggs. So that was mental. So we found out that ghosts can get haunted by ghosts, and those ghosts can get haunted by other ghosts. It just goes on like that. It's like a massive Russian dolls of ghosts. So anyway, when you think about that, it's quite scary because that's forever. So me and Derek, we've thought about it and we've learned 2 really good lessons. The first one Derek taught me was don't feed ghosts, right, any sort of food or bar snacks, because think about it, they've got no digestive systems. It just passes straight through them, and it's ghost boil, so it burns the carpet, burns straight through the wood. So that's number 1. Number 2, don't have any regrets or guilt. So me and Derek just got rid of all that, because if you do die with regret or guilt, that's what turns you into a ghost. So it's best to do like Edith Piaf, none you regret a Rianne, which is what she wrote that song about, yeah. Because otherwise you might end up in Deptford and you just find yourself dead. You're in Deptford, you look awful, because they're never good looking, that's no offence, but they look awful. And you'll have a terrible thirst for, say, something like a golden shower, which is, that sounds like, that don't mean like sexy time. It's an old-fashioned type of cocktail that's made out of creme de menthe, lemon juice, lime juice, Cointreau and shandy. So that's what could happen. So the best thing is make your peace with your life, forgive yourself the terrible atrocities you might have committed, and if you're about to commit some, just maybe don't, as you'll be a ghost.
Ladies and gentlemen, just gather round to our next stop. Now, my sister Daisy had developed a habit between the years 2008 and 2015 where she would purchase an enormous amount of tat from Deptford Market.
Oi, it was not tat, Derek. It was antiquities of very precious items.
Yeah, sorry Daisy, it was tat.
I'm right here. I can still hear you saying that.
Oh, right. Okay, anyway, so these antiquities mainly consisted of photo frames, but with the photographs still left in by the previous owners. So around the house for years, we just had complete strangers on the walls. We had sort of like posho Edwardian families, quaffing liquid and stuff in their faces. We had World War II heroes from Scandinavia. And we even had this photograph of this Romanian circus troupe from the 1920s with a hyperactive and apparently dyslexic elephant called Reginald, who apparently signed it somehow. But it's this cheeky little photograph of this 1-year-old Bavarian boy circa 1951 that puts shivers down my very soul. And as soon as it entered this sacred house, strange things began to happen. And when I mean strange things, I mean the kind of things that you might see if you come home late at night after a few drinks and go on the internet and you type in weird ? On Google Drive. Or you type in ghosts and things like that ? That kind of strange, you know what I mean? Anyway, the first thing that happened is that I began to notice that my trousers became quite tight and hard to put on. Huh? I mean, I could put them on, get them past the naughty area, but I couldn't put them past if I was a woman, where babies might dwell. And after a while, I couldn't even get them past my thighs. And I got really worried and concerned, and Daisy saw this, so she bought me a pair of size 42 elasticated waist nylon trousers from Marks and Spencer's, rather than my usual size 36 skinny hipsters from Top Man. And do you know what? They fitted as snug as a bug. Huh? Weird. And when I looked over at this little cherub, I could see the smile on his face get larger and larger. the second thing that happened is Daisy likes to watch her favourite programme, Ice Road Truckers. I don't know why. And when she was watching it, suddenly the screen went all fuzzy and a ghostly scrawl appeared on it that said, "This stream isn't strong enough to view this content." I mean, what stream? What stream is this? I'll tell you what stream it is. It's a river from hell, filled with the faces of Bavarian boys like this. We got the vicar round. And the vicar came in and I just pointed at the source of the evilness and explained to her all the things that had happened. And I remember this very clearly because the vicar just put her tea down. She looked me straight in the eyes and she said, "Derek, how long have you been depressed?" Well, when I glanced over at old mini Satan here, I could see his lips moving at the same time as the vicar was speaking, and then I knew straight away he was using her as a sort of religious Orville the Duck with his spectral hand stuffed right up a holy... Anyway, when I started to scream, the vicar left. You know what? And now I've embraced the darkness. I just do his bidding. That's the way I can get my peace. I've sort of like begin to like him, you know? And I do all the little things for him. I polish him up. I read him to nourish him. Old tweets from Katie Hopkins' Twitter feed. I leave a sort of jar of dead flies just beside him every morning. He likes that. And most importantly, I let him watch Country File on a Sunday. Pure evil. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our ghost tour and the end of episode 2. I hope you're not too scared. But next time, it's aliens.
Yeah, thank you very much for watching all the scary bits.
Sorry, I should introduce this. This is Nigel.
Hello,
Nigel the Destroyer.
I am.
Daisy picked up Nigel from Deptford Market, and we found out quite quickly that on a Tuesday, Nigel possesses Daisy completely.
That's what I do. I like to get right up inside her and venturing across her mouth and say all sorts of rude things like bum buckets and booby hatchets.
Do you know, I quite look forward to my little time with Nigel.
Yeah, me too. It's nice of you to say, don't
That's all right. Yeah, we play a lot of games together.
Oh,
Yeah, we play FIFA.
and all the killing ones.
The Call of Duty games, he likes them.
Yeah, I do. I love them because you can kill, shoot, butcher, stab, murder, strangle, everything like that, and you don't even go to prison.
Nigel.
You just keep killing people all day and all night.
Nigel, that's a bit much. That's a lot. That's a lot going. That's too much.
Sorry.
Yeah. So if you like this, please join us for the next one. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. And if you keep rolling this film and you watch it right through to the end, something weird will happen. Is that I can crawl through the science waves of what you're watching on, crawl up your pajama leg, and then I can do horrible things. Hiya.
Say goodbye, Daisy.
Oh, bye. Another one is Black Night of the Terrified Soul, and that is Guinness and whiskey with tears in it. Sad, but it's actually quite nice.
I feel like his German influence is on me. I seem to drink an enormous amount of beer.